Whether or not it is recorded before a live guinea pig studio audience. Meteorologist Joe Bastardi here. Put my glasses on. Take them off. All right, so this edition of Whether or Not is whether or not the Green Deal is based on anything real instead of what you just feel, all right? I hope that doesn't make you squirm or squeal. People are probably turning this off to go get a meal. This is just to show you how smart I really am. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this because, let me explain something. All right, there are two sides to every story. All right, there's their side, there's a side I think of. Actually, there's 100 sides. Everybody's got a story, right? You know, people come up to me all the time and say, well, if you ever encountered AOC, what would you ask her? And I started thinking to myself, well, who else would I think to? Let's see, she's got a degree in economics, and she was a bartender. So I'd probably say, can you whip me up a Italian margarita that doesn't cost me over $12, okay? Because I make the best Italian margaritas on the planet, all right? So I'm also biased that she's got, I'm biased that she's already got her initials, AOC. You realize it took me till I was past 40 to be referred to as JB? And they don't even say JMB. They say a lot of other things about me. But in any case, I'll get a little bit serious over here. Now, is it getting worse? Are there more and more climate catastrophes, more people dying? Well, let's take a look at this. Here's the deaths from climate and non-climate catastrophes. You can see non-climate catastrophes are down here. And climate-related deaths have plummeted during the fossil fuel era. Now, the big question is why do we continually say things are getting worse if they're not getting worse? Now, let's look at this. In the fossil fuel area, okay, look, right over here, this is where we started, you know, we quit using horses. And by the way, you know what we used to do with those horses? You just don't bury horses all over the place. They burned them, right? Just imagine putting that up into the air, right? But you see, personal GDP has risen dramatically during the time of fossil fuels. Now, there's another thing here. Life expectancy is going up through the roof. We have more people on the planet today, and they are living longer. I think that's a good thing. The more the merrier, okay? Right? The more subscribers, right? The more people, the more subscribers. Get subscribers from, you know, Kuala Lumpur. All right? So I'm all for that, all right? People ask me all the time, what are your politics? So I say, well, I like to think of myself as a pedestrian, and I walk the streets for the right to be a pedestrian. That's from the Three Stooges. Now, here's something interesting. Carbon emissions and world prosperity. Carbon emissions are going up, and world prosperity is going up, and poverty is going down. All right? That's a good thing. Now, the question is, you say, well, Joe, look at the carbon dioxide just going through the carbon emissions, by the way. You know, carbon soot, nobody is for putting carbon soot in the air. But the fact is, you know, when they show you these smokestacks and all this other stuff, there's carbon dioxide. You can't see carbon dioxide. You can't smell carbon dioxide. You exhale 100 times more carbon dioxide than you inhale, and plants love you. In fact, it's getting risky out there. I was walking down the street today, and you know, these plants are starting to come out at springtime. They start trying to hug me, you know, which I don't really mind that much because I used to be a tree hugger when I was younger. So if you say, well, what would you ask AOC? Well, the first thing I do is to, you know, hey, Italian margarita, you know, try to bond. Now, you may be saying to yourself, you know, you're making fun of her, all right? That's not the first time I've tried to order a beverage off a congressional person. I was about 2007, I guess. I was eating, I'm going to have to drop his name, Jim Jordan. I wasn't eating Jim Jordan. I was eating with Jim Jordan, all right? Jim Jordan was a great wrestler. He could eat me up anytime he wanted to. And Congressman Scalise. And so we were sitting down at dinner. I said, hey, can I get you guys a glass of wine? They said, yeah, sure, we'll have one glass of wine. We all have the same feeling about that. We don't drink a lot. But I looked at the bar, and there was this lady there. I go, Miss, can you please bring us 3 glasses of Cabernet here? And she came over, and Jim says, that's Michele Bachmann, right? So before AOC, I tried to order a glass of wine from Michele Bachmann. I guess she's 50 years old, 52 years old. She didn't look 52 years old to me, okay? And she was really nice about it because she understood that I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's continue onward and upward here. All right, so let me see what there's poverty. Now, I'm going to say, Joe, look at, by the way, I'm going to have to go back here. This is like, it's like I'm Bob Dylan writing a song. Whatever comes in my head, I say. I just told you about Michele Bachmann. I once ate breakfast with Rick Perry when he was the Agricultural Commissioner of Texas. And at that time, he was still a Democrat, right? This was way back when. So I started thinking, what was it, 10 years ago or something? We had Perry and Bachmann were running for the Republican nomination. I said, wouldn't that be cool if they were a ticket? And I could say, yeah, I ate with that guy and I ordered a glass of wine off Michele Bachmann. Okay, so there, I'm dropping names. Okay, let's get back to where I was, which is a hard thing to do. Okay, so there is the increase in CO2. That's it, the planet's blowing up. However, there are studies out there that claim that CO2, let's put it this way, if you see linkage between CO2 and the temperature there, you're probably crossing your eyes and you get one of those bathroom books. My aunt's got one. Drives me nuts. I go to my aunt's house and I pick up this book and I get cross-eyed. I forget what I'm even in there for. But you can sit there and try to stare at that all you want. Now, AOC said that, part of the reason for these migrant caravans, because of climate change. Now, first of all, let me just say this, okay? I am for anybody that wants to come into this country legally, okay? I really am. We're a melting pot. All the colors bleed into one. I am an old-fashioned person about that. My grandparents came over here from Italy, and so I am definitely not anti-immigration, but I think it should be legal, okay? You can't pick and choose things. But the fact is that people are trying to blame climate for it is very interesting. So I would be questioning, I question, for instance, AOC on this, or I shouldn't use her, anybody. I say, well, you tell me it's getting worse. That doesn't look like it's getting worse. All right. This looks pretty good. Income's increasing. Life expectancy is increasing. Maybe they don't want more people on the planet living longer. How do I know? Prosperity is increasing. CO2 is going up, we see. There's no question about that. But then there's studies that say that there's very little relationship to the temperature. Of course, you get into big fights over that. But here's the thing. We go to this migrant caravan and everybody in Central America and things are so horrible. Here's the rainfall over the last 20 years. It is below normal across Costa Rica, but much of Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Does that look below normal to you? And temperatures. How does anybody say that with no change in temperatures, virtually no change in temperatures, people are being driven out of Central America because it's dry and hot? Now, I searched far and wide for maybe there's mass crop failures. Maybe everything is just going crazy, okay? So I went to this site, noma.com, and it's just an unbelievable site. So, and they're not a sponsor for me, okay? No, I don't have any sponsors. But go there, okay? I always tell people, look, you don't have to believe me. Don't believe me. Go look for yourself. But I'm going to show you what I'm looking at too. And that's all I ask for is an open mind. People think I'm open-minded, and I'm committed. And they said you should be committed and you should have your mind opened up to figure out what's going on in there. Okay, so anyway, NOMA. So when we take a look at crop production in Guatemala, it's going up. And then we see it going up also in, this is Honduras, and then Nicaragua. Yeah, there's something interesting for you. During that time of government upheaval, upheaval, Evel Knievel, it actually went down, but it's been recovering too. So everybody looks like they're growing more food in these areas where these people are supposedly being driven out by climate. You can try to figure out what this is all about. That's fine. But it's not the climate. Do you understand? When we look at what's going on, I cover it in my book. This is the weaponization of weather. Chapter 3 of my book, The Climate Chronicles. And one thing about the Climate Chronicles in the book, and you say, well, you're just trying to plug your book. Actually, I tried to plug my book, but it doesn't create electricity. Okay, the only way that you can get heat from my book is if you get my book and throw it into a fire, and then which is, some of you don't like me, you might want to do that. Buy the book and throw it into the fire, It's like, that's the same philosophy I used to have with my band. I was the lead singer in a band. I said, let everyone in for free, charge them to get out. Okay, so anyway, wait a minute. Let me go back to the camera over here. So the thing is that a lot of what's going on today is smoke and mirrors. I think it's like that all over the place. All right. I think, okay, let's the president was talking about immigration. He said, well, if you're all for this, we'll put them in the sanctuary. We'll put these people in the sanctuary. He said, no. Okay, what are you trying to do, right? Let this happen to some other place. Okay, let's go to wind turbines, okay? What happened off the Massachusetts coast if you want a good wind field, just south of Massachusetts in there, just near Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, that's the place to put them. Not in my backyard, no way. The same people that are supporting one thing will tell you one thing, and if you go look, the other's happening. Like I said, you look at healthcare, for instance. All right. Why is it Congress is exempt from stuff that we do? And this is what I'm trying to say. There's linkage across the board here. And the reason I wrote the book was to show you that some of the things that are going on are not science. Now, this is not to knock the guys on the other side of the issue that are really convinced of this and have done a lot of hard work. And I know and understand their argument. I believe there's just too much attribution to it. But what I try to show in the book is examples of this, and you see it throughout what's going on. There's a common thread. Tell you one thing, but if you go look, well, maybe there's a reason to be skeptical, okay? I want everybody to do this, but not me, okay? So, I'm the kind of guy where I don't care what you do. Just don't make me do something I don't want to do. I mean, within bounds. But anyway, that's what the something the book tries to get across. So there's a chapter in there on the weaponization of weather, where every single event is going to be some crazy thing going on, right? Now, this is a sign of climate change. We know that's going on. Had to scratch that itch. But this particular situation, given what we are actually looking at across Central, I'm looking at these. Let's see if I can put these things up here. Hold on, I got to move that off there. The CO2, for instance, not looking like it has much to do with stuff. The idea that it hasn't been that dry. It's been near normal across much of the area, and temperatures haven't been going up that much. And then the idea that crop production is going up, right? This is a new level that this whole the migrant caravans are being caused by climate change. It's moving beyond weaponization of weather. It is moving to a completely different level, the weaponization of non-weather. It's a non-event. So they're sitting there trying to say that there is something going on, but it's very, very minor. And the one thing I look at is, and I have a great deal of sympathy for people who want to come to the United States and have a better life, okay? I mean, that's what this country is really all about. We've always welcomed people with open arms. But I have a great deal of sympathy for them. But I'm looking at it going, well, wait a minute. Your crop production is going up. Your temperatures haven't gone up all that much. What? Are you simply being used as something for a political agenda? Okay? Now, I just showed you these things. So, don't believe me. Go look for yourself. There's linkage all over the place. When I forecast, I look for something to happen one place and then see the effect, the linkage in another place. But it's like that in a bunch of things today. And climate and weather, I can't believe what's happened to it. I said in the book, the reason I wrote the book was it's a love story to defend climate and weather. I mean, I've loved this since I was 3. I can't believe what it's become today. All right, but I still enjoy the weather. And I want you to enjoy the weather because it's the only weather you got.